Richician!
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and I'm doing a deck profile on the deck of cards. Yes, for those who don't know the story, this is a deck that I designed like in late 2010 or early 2011, and it's meant to be based off cards, you know, like Card Trooper, Card Blocker, Card Destruction, things like that. But I don't have every card in the game that has card in it, the name. Sounds like a rhyme. Yeah, it's basically meant to use these monsters to generate random graveyard advantage and do some synchro plays with the graveyard. I'll just show you the deck profile and show you how I built it. So first of all, I'm playing a single copy of, not that, Card Guard, which is just a beat stick really. I give it a normal special summon. No, when it's normal special summoned, put a guard counter on it, and it gains 300 attack for each guard counter on it. And once per turn, I can target another face-up card I control, remove a guard counter from this card, and place one guard counter on that target. And if that card would be destroyed, I can remove it instead. It's funny because I think this was originally printed as a secret rare. I think in Storm of Ragnarok, if I remember correctly. Not sure. Speaking of secret rares, we have 2 copies of Card Blocker, one of Jaden's monsters. The defense counterpart to Card Trooper, which we all know. When it's summoned, it switches to defense, and when a face-up monster I control is attacked, I can change the target to this card, and when this is targeted for an attack, I can send up to 3 cards off the top of my deck to the graveyard and give it 500 defense points for each of those cards until the end of the turn. Oh, and that effect stacks, and I can use both effects in the same chain. And then speaking of Card Trooper, here he is, 3 copies of him. We all know what he does. Another one of Jaden's cards. Then I have a few of Yusei's cards. So we have some of Jaden's cards and some of Yusei's cards working together here, which is cool. So because it's a synchro deck, there's lots of tuners here, including 2 copies of Junk Synchron. Oh yes, this is the first ultra rare printing of him. Then 3 copies of Debris Dragon, because I play lots of weak monsters and low stat monsters, so these guys just bring them back and let me get my synchro plays going. Then Jet Synchron, because he was unbanned recently and we can play him again, so why not? And then 2 copies of Plague Spreader Zombie, another tuner that brings itself back from the graveyard. And then for other monsters, I've got Speed Warrior, Shield Warrior, 2 copies of Doppel Warrior, 2 copies of Necro Gardener, Treeborn Frog, and finally Electromagnetic Turtle. So yeah, as you can probably tell, the idea is to get a bunch of these monsters in the graveyard, bring them back, and you know, get some graveyard effects going. That's it for monsters. On with spells. So for spells, I have Card Destruction, Card Rotator. By sending a card from my hand to the graveyard, it changes the battle positions of all monsters the opponent controls. Simple as that. Then Rotor, because I play a lot of warriors in here, Foolish Burial, so it gets certain monsters in the graveyard. Lightning Vortex, it's extra monster destruction and lets me discard something I want in the graveyard, basically. Monster Reborn, because it's Monster Reborn, gotta have some extra monster revival. Pot of Avarice to recycle monsters I don't need in the graveyard anymore back into the deck. Regeki, Burial from a Different Dimension to recycle Plague Spreader, Jet Synchron, Shield Warrior or Necro Gardener, or any three of the above. Scapegoat to give me that extra level for some synchro plays. And finally, Twin Twisters. That's it for spells, on with traps. So I've got Limiter Overload, because I have Speed Warrior in the deck, and there's plenty of ways to get this card in the graveyard. 2 copies of Breakthrough Skill, which I play instead of Solemn Strike or Infinite Impermanence, because obviously don't have any imperms going spare, and because I'm milling random cards, there's a good chance that I'll mill any monster effect negation, so this is perfect for this sort of deck. And Jar of Avarice for more recycling, Mirror Force, Storming Mirror Force, and Call of the Haunted for more monster revival. Now for the other best part, the extra deck, which is all synchros. So I've got Red Nova Dragon, because it is possible to set up for this card. It's not that easy to go into, but again, it is possible. Shooting Star Dragon, because it's possible to go into that. Satellite Warrior, because I can really. Trishula, Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend, one of the best level 8 synchros. I don't play the original Red Dragon Archfiend, but because its name becomes that while on the field and in the graveyard, that helps me go into Red Nova. And Stardust Dragon, my personal favourite synchro monster. Level 7s consist of Black Rose Dragon, which I wish I made in that Battle Royal instead of Moonlight, because then I could have cleared the field, got rid of There Can Only Be One, and things would have been different. Sure, it wouldn't have destroyed Utopic Draco Future, but at least a Floodgate would have been off the field. Yeah, I have many regrets. And Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. And for 6s, I've got Coral Dragon, Brionac, and Stardust Charge Warrior. And then for level 5s, I have TG Hyper Librarian, Armades. The only level 4 I play, Old Entity Hastor, and finally Formula Synchron, the only level 2. So that's what will help for me go into Shooting Star Dragon, basically. And that's it for the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and a comment, share and subscribe if you haven't subbed already. I mean, this deck is just a lot of fun to play. And yeah, thanks for watching. Stay safe. See you later. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.